Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 31 through 35. Jesus is talking about the kingdom of heaven. And one of the things for us to understand throughout chapter 13 is that the kingdom of heaven doesn't look like the kingdom of earth, that it is not a kingdom of power and glory and might the way the world thinks about it, that the kingdom of heaven doesn't enhance your power to manipulate God or others, right? And that the kingdom of heaven has its own purpose, God's purpose, I should say. And so he tells us about how this kingdom is going to come like a mustard seed, which is funny because the kingdom of heaven is, by its very definition, is bigger than the earth, right? It's kingdom of heaven. It's bigger than just the church. The kingdom of heaven is bigger than just the church. And where we expect power, there is a power. There's a power over every principality, every government, over everything that threatens us. In fact, ultimately, the kingdom of heaven has power over sin and death and the devil. It conquers all of them. And yet, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed. It's small. And a man plants it in his life or in his garden. God's planting it ultimately. And this small seed becomes a tree, right? And over time it grows and it provides a refuge for the birds. It becomes a blessing to others. And it's only powerful, it only grows, right, when it's given nourishment to grow. And so are you giving nourishment so that the mustard seed faith that's in your life can grow from just a little bitty thing to a large bush? How is your faith growing in your life so that it is a blessing for others? How is your faith nourished? By being in the Word, by being in prayer, by being in worship, by being connected with the other disciples. These are all ways that we nourish the seed of the gospel. Now he goes on to talk about a woman who is doing some industrial baking, right? And she's got 60 pounds of flour, which if you went to the grocery store, you'd have to buy 12 5-pound bags. I mean, this is crazy, a silly amount of baking to do at home. And you think about all that flour and this huge piece of dough, and she puts the yeast into it. And it takes time. And the yeast just disappears into the dough, right? And she works it through all the dough, but it doesn't appear, you don't see it. It doesn't appear to be doing much of anything, right? And it's slowly working. And ultimately, it influences all the dough, right? It will raise all the dough. And the dough remains dough. Think about this. The dough remains dough, but the yeast has changed its nature. And that's what the gospel, the kingdom of heaven, does within us. And so how are we being yeast so that we have an influence on others? The kingdom of God is not one of coercion or force. The kingdom of heaven is one of blessing, that it influences others by its grace. And then Jesus, at the end of this passage, he says that, we're told about how he speaks in parables because, again, to confound people, often to give the law, but not to tell us everything that we think we understand. Thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.